Good morning, Bucknutters. It is Monday, December 15th, 2025. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. Joined this morning by Steve Helwagen from his palatial Columbus area estate. Dave Biddle choosing to sun himself in some tropical locale this week, as he is wont to do. Can't blame him. Not a game week. Smart scheduling on his part. Speaking of which, we'll get into all the current events that we've all been able to experience over the last wild week of being in the college football space. We're going to keep it tight here to start, and we're going to talk Buckeyes. Your Buckeyes will be back in action in about 16 days in Jerry World against the winner of, by the way, Jerry World now vacant, so they can no longer play in football this season, I don't think. Are they? So that's good. Anyway, so they'll play the winner of Texas A&M and Miami, who get it on this weekend. What is our football team doing right now, Steve? How do they get ready for this week? Do they rest? Do they relax? Do they prepare for both teams? Take us through bowl prep week, or I would say playoff game waiting week.
Yeah, I mean, that was the great thing about earning a first-round bye. You get about 3.5 weeks between games. And as we know, Ohio State's had some health issues with Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, so this allows them the time for those guys to fully heal up and get ready to play. I think this past week they did just working out, essentially, lifting weights, running, conditioning, those kind of things, just trying to stay sharp. There's no reason to be out there hitting and doing all those kind of things, coming off of what was a heck of a grind, whatever it was, 5-6 games in a row to end the regular season after the last bye. They've earned the time off, so to speak. This week, I'm sure they'll be back on the practice field, working on some fundamental things and also working on some concepts that they feel might work against either Miami or Texas A&M, whoever wins that game. And then obviously next Sunday, they'll start right in knowing who they're going to play and start tailoring things toward that team. They'll keep working like that. I know that they're going to travel to the bowl site down in Dallas. I believe it's on Sunday the 28th is when they're going to travel, practice down there a couple days, 29, 30, 31, and well, actually 29, 30, and then play the game on the night of the 31st. So they've got some time. Obviously, time is their friend in this situation. Get everybody healthy, keep everybody in shape, and then this week get back on the practice field, get a little bit of a taste again of hitting and all those kind of things, and just get ready to play another football game at the end of the month.
What do you make of the Texas assignment versus Miami? Not for the stake scene, as it were, but more the on-field activities.
Yeah, the committee was weird. They said, well, we could have sent Ohio State to Miami where they would have possibly played Miami on their home field. I don't think Miami has a home field advantage with the 25, 30,000 fans that they draw. I think they would have been outnumbered by Ohio State fans in their own stadium. But that would have been kind of cool to go down there. Obviously, the championship game would be there. So you do aspire at some point in this postseason to play a game in Miami. But that's 2 wins down the line. You got to win this one first. So instead, they're going to play Texas A&M. And obviously, Dallas is going to be big Texas A&M territory, just as it was last year for Texas. And Ohio State fans showed out for that, and I think the same will be true. The Ohio State fans have the jump on the Texas A&M fans if that's who wins this game.
For sure.
Because they've known, obviously, since December 6th that was going to be their destination. So anybody who wanted to go, which team is better? Texas A&M is slightly favored in the game at home. Basically what it would be for them to play a regular home game, a 3.5 point favorite at Kyle Field to beat Miami. Miami's 2 losses were Louisville and SMU, and Texas A&M's loss was to Texas. Their rivalry game, they were 11-0, obviously, going into that game, and got beat 27-17. So 2 great quarterbacks for these teams. They have almost identical record or identical statistics when you talk about Carson Beck and also Marcel Reed for Texas A&M. They're both right around 3,000 yards passing. They both have 25 touchdowns, and they both threw 10 interceptions. So I don't know that there's a clear edge, although we know Reed also brings the ability to run the ball. So, yeah, it's going to be a great matchup either way. And Ohio State has history with both these teams. Obviously, Miami and Texas A&M, and will be a fantastic game, whichever opponent shows up on New Year's Eve to play the Buckeyes.
I'll say this: the Buckeyes should be rested, refreshed, recharged. I'm not sure still how to put in context the game against Indiana. Was it a hangover game? Was it a try and keep your powder dry game, and then dude missed another field goal and it backfired again? I don't really know the answer to that. I don't think anybody does. This is a new schedule. What's your vibe on that? New schedule, kind of. Are you now feeling like Indiana is the team to beat, or do you agree with Las Vegas and that Ohio State should be a slight favorite?
Well, I think Indiana played the game that they had to play to win the game, obviously, and they found a way to hold down the Ohio State offense. Maybe the Ohio State offense found a way to hold down the Ohio State offense. I'm not sure, but it was just a confluence of things. Indiana basically had 3 off weeks going into the game with an open week, then Purdue, and then obviously playing Ohio State, whereas Ohio State had to play Michigan, an emotional game. And I think it's hard to get back up 7 days later after you've climbed the mountain that everyone's been waiting for you to climb, and everybody's telling you how great you are, to then have to go back out there and play another physical opponent 7 days later. Ohio State just didn't have it. Just didn't seem to have it to me. Played a great defensive game, held a team scoring 44 points to 13. That should be good enough to win 99 times out of 100. But it wasn't in this one instance. So they got to get back to the drawing board, figure out what it is they can do to win these playoff games coming up.
Yeah, I thought that. I mean, I certainly didn't predict an Indiana win, but I predicted Indiana to score more points than they did, and they still got it done. So I know that our guy Mendoza won the Heisman Trophy largely based on a few throws in that game. But keep in mind, I mean, I still am pretty confident if they give up 13 points a game throughout the playoff that can you find 14 for me with the 2 best receivers walking in college football and a quarterback who broke a completion record and a freshman running back? That's one thing I am going to be excited to see is I think everyone will have a little spring in their step on the 31st. If for no other reason, just some time off. You know what I'm saying? That's no small break, or no small amount of time off. A month off, you really do get a chance to. If you got a rolled ankle in a month, that you're okay. I think there's been some chatter about what changes Ohio State could make personnel wise. I mean, the low hanging fruit discussion is on right guard. Do you expect them to make a permanent change with Gabe Van Sickle? There's been some talk of Teger was nursing an injury. Do you expect any personnel changes, or the status quo just rested and refreshed?
I think what they're going to do is get everybody out on the field here in the 10 days leading up to the game, however many days you have. And I think that they are going to work that out and figure out who the best option is once they're in full pads and going at it to see who is going to be the most consistent player at right guard, and that player will play most of the snaps. Could be a case like last year's playoff where they rotate people in and out, but that's the one position. I think Philip Daniels had a couple bad plays, obviously, in that game, and certainly Shabola as well. But to me, I just look at it that you got to put the best guy out there, and they've maintained all along it's Shabola. But again, you can't play like that in a high leverage game, a high leverage situation, and expect to win. So Julian Sain was put in positions in that game he hadn't seen all season. I mean, he only been sacked 6 times, and they got him 5 times in the first 2.5 quarters. So that's that's not going to be sustainable going forward, Dan. They've got to protect the passer a lot better than what we saw in that game against Indiana. So I think they will get to the bottom of it. And if it means Gabe Van Sickle is going to play more, then so be it. This is there is no tomorrow now. You can't lose this game and expect for anything else after that. This is lose and go home. And, their goal, we'll see how serious they are about it, is to win a back-to-back national championship. Never happened at Ohio State. It's been very rare here in the modern era for anybody to do it. So I want to see if they're serious about taking this down the rest of the way. It should be a lot of fun to watch, no doubt.
Ohio State does not release or confirm injury-related stuff over the break. There is some chatter that Tegra might have had some work done on. We'll see on that one. There was also a question on here about, ironically, Legend Bay. I would encourage you to go to the site now and check out the VIP chat that Garrick posted. Also, Mike Roach. One of the advantages we have here at the site is that we have boots on the ground in every location, and Texas insider Mike Roach has been all over that. I'll just say this. I believe Legend's birthday is, if it's not New Year's Eve, it's Christmas Eve. He turns 18. He gains, he gains control of his life, so to speak, then. And the word is the Legend will continue or start in Columbus. So let's just wait on that one. But have not heard anything even slightly to the negative on that. In fact, positive, which is great because he is first of all, Legend Bay is just off the top 5 name ever to a football player. The guts it takes to name your kid Legend. The parents deserve all the rewards, the just rewards they get for that. That takes some stones. I don't even know how to go into that one. More power to him. And you're talking about a guy who cut his teeth and has made legendary status in Texas. And we've had great success with those types. All right. Now, let's get to, I think, what will be considered the hot topic. And you can read into that however you want, because this thing got goofy. Steve, I always love to go to you for these perspective type questions, considering your venerable nature on the beat. You've seen a lot. I think we once had a discussion as, could we ever be surprised on this beat ever again? And lo and behold, I'm watching video of Sherrone Moore in it's not the County Blues, it's something else, whatever they were, the County Orange or Whites up there. That is, you want to talk about a fall from grace. You want to talk about the last chapter in a book about just a tenure that was so wild. Jim Harbaugh, since he was hired, 7 coaches on his staff had been arrested. I think that means more than 50% of the guys he hired. Ha.
Yeah.
Take it and run with it. Put it in perspective. You've seen Catgate. You've seen a lot of stuff here that's been crazy. This one, I think, has a chance to take the cake.
Yeah, that began to unravel last Wednesday afternoon when you're starting to get tweets that Sherrone Moore has been fired and then fired for cause. And you're like, fired for cause? What the heck? What would that possibly be? And then little details trickle out that he was having a relationship with one of his staff members, a young lady in the football office, and it just mushroomed out of control. And he was, as it turns out, he's leading this double life. And the people who are the victims in this are obviously his wife, his family, this young lady, her family, now cast into the public eye where she certainly didn't want to be. And again, people will say, oh, this is mental illness and this is different things like that. And obviously he didn't react to this in the right way. The relationship fell apart, and he apparently fired her from her job in the football office, and she turned around and marched right into the president's office and said, I've been used in this manner by this a highly paid head football coach, and they fired him on the spot. Basically, Ward Manuel went in there with the evidence and sent him on his way, and then he reacted, goes to her house and breaks into her house and gets charged with all these criminal charges. He goes from making 5, 6, 8 million, whatever it was a year, as the head football coach at Michigan, to the county jail. I mean, he is there've been some other falls from grace, like Mel Tucker just a few years ago at Michigan State, kind of a similar thing. They drummed him out of there for the relationship that he was trying to have with Brenda Tracy. You think back over the years, Bobby Petrino, his situation, way back, Mike Price was the head coach at Alabama for about a month or two. Yeah, and he ran into some problems off the field as well. So
not sure he ran into him, but go ahead.
Yeah, different things happen, but again, Ohio State fans, when they see this at Michigan, are just going to point their finger and laugh, and that's fine. I think there's a human side to this as well, with the wife, the kids, everybody else that's involved. To me, and if I'm the president of the University of Michigan, I am looking to anybody who is kind of touched by this Jim Harbaugh thing and this Sherrone Moore thing, and you're gone. I can't abide any more of this foolishness, this folly. It's got to become a serious enterprise again, and they've got to bring in a tussle, for lack of a better term, an effective program manager who's going to come in and put the thing on solid ground. I think they would have gotten rid of Moore after one more season, 8-9 wins and a loss to Ohio State. That would have been it. They would have said goodbye to him, and maybe we wouldn't have even ever heard of any of this stuff. But it was completely a shock to come out of left field, and there were murmurs. Are they going to get rid of him after he loses to Ohio State? But it just seemed too quick. I mean, he was their anointed savior after Harbaugh left, and now they're searching one again. Who they're going to get is anybody's guess. Sherrone Moore is going to get contract extensions and raises for a lot of people. So he'll at least be getting Christmas cards from Kalen DeBoer and probably Jed Fish and a couple other people, if nobody else is going to be happy for him.
Oh, Kenny Dillingham's going to name his
house
after him.
He's going to have to send a fruit basket.
The more he's going to get a boat that kind of like more salary, Moore salary.
Right.
I'd ride on that with him. This was, I don't know where to go with this. I'll tell you guys a little inside pool here. On November 3rd, 2023, I received a phone call from a Michigan number that I did not answer because I screen my calls because
you have to in this day and age, Dan.
Good Lord. So he left a message, as people don't do anymore. And it was basically, I have information about something you're going to want to hear about. Please reach out to me, yada, yada. So I normally don't do that. We do get tips here on some goofy stuff. So I did reach out to the gentleman, or to the number. It was a gentleman in Lansing, Michigan, who claimed he had evidence of a Michigan staffer having an affair that he wanted to sell to me. Now, we wouldn't do that anyway. That's not our bag to buy that stuff. And we get a lot of goofy tips along the way. I will say, I went back and archived and checked that out. And there's a decent chance, at least, that this, and if you read everything, it could have been Sherrone Moore he's talking about, knock on wood. That sounds like it was going on for a long time. I mean that to say this was like an open secret there.
Yeah.
You want to piss off the Bucknutters, have something happen, and me or you get on there and say, oh, we already knew about this. We just didn't share it with you. And now I'm going to tell you that I knew it the whole time, and I've got a oven mitts with that name on it and stuff. No, dude, you can't do that. Listen, there's a lot of stuff we do here that you can't confirm or share. I get that. This one, I've never, and you can speak this over me, I've never seen that many people come out and say I had heard about it. Yeah. I'm talking podcast guys on the radio, guys with, how would you have handled that? I mean, when you put it in context, obviously you don't have to worry about that because we don't hire people like that here. And boy, if you ever want to appreciate having a guy like Ryan Day run your program and a guy you could send your son to without any concerns, I appreciate that even more now. But just some more context from you, Steve, on what you've seen.
Yeah, it just, again, spirals out of control. And the only thing I can surmise is that he did this because of the pressures of being the head coach at Michigan. This was his release. This was his way to, find some enjoyment somewhere. And it's unfortunate that it involved other people to this degree that, now they've been outed and will be part of, a footnote of history or whatever, just like some of the other people that we've seen get swept up.
So listen, hold on a second. If you ask the fan, but if you ask the fan on the street now in pick a city, Dallas, Texas, and you walked up to them and said, "What's the dirtiest college football program right now?" Everyone's going to say Michigan. So there's no Michigan man thing anymore, man. You can build that back.
The mystique is over.
But that's done with.
And they've tried like hell to protect it for years and years and years. I mean, overly protective of it. And to let this thing run amok like this, I think it's gonna capture up Ward Manuel at some point. The president and the board of trustees have hired a white glove law firm from Washington, D.C. to come in and take the thing apart, side to side, up and down. And they can't imagine they want this thing to last for a year or two. They want answers right now, like what are the systemic issues? And I think they're going to come back to find that, Ward was too trusting with a lot of these people or put the wrong people in charge in some instances, in some of these cases. And I think he's going to pay for it with his job. And, as I said, if I'm the president, I'm blowing anybody out who is touched, by this way of doing business, this Harbaugh way of doing business, Sherrone Moore way of doing business. It just can't continue. They've got to go in a new direction where rules are followed, protocols are observed, and it's been an outlaw operation for too long, and they've got to get it figured out because they'll never get back to what they were in the college football realm unless they weed out the bad eggs from the good eggs, I guess.
I think it's John U. Bacon is who Buck Rational is talking about, who is considered like the venerable Michigan scribe that everybody.
Roger Bacon, isn't that the
somewhere in Rhode Island?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Roger Williams is the college in Rhode Island. Roger Bacon.
Yeah, I don't know. Bacon is the.
I know. I'll tell you what.
Cincinnati.
Steve and I have eaten enough bacon that we probably shouldn't even be discussing it. And I'd like to have some right now, but I digress. Yeah. What's interesting also is here's the things you don't want in your life. Law firm from DC. If you see that, it used to be like a caller ID. There used to be this guy who worked for the Washington Post named Mark Asher. And remember when caller ID would be that thing on your desk and a name would pop up? And they would always be like, Mark, if you see that name pop up, pack your stuff. Don't answer it. Get out of town and hire a lawyer. You're going down. Mark Asher.
Channel 6 here in town. My buddy's a principal up at Orange High School. Actually, he's assistant superintendent. And I joke with him that Tom Bosco from Channel 6 is always on his because he's the one coming to get the answers when there's been hazing in the hockey program.
Exactly.
Or there's been a coach that did something he wasn't supposed to do or something. The Tom Bosco on line one. Yeah. Oh, heck.
Get him on line one. That means your lawyer better be on line two quickly. There are guys who are like that. I'm sure everyone knows this. There's certain names that are out there that are go to like that. So we shall see, man. I do think this will. Like, I put the book thing up there. I don't know if someone will write it because if you write a book like this, you're essentially napalming the bridge. There's no going back. You'd have to. But I cannot get over how lucky. When you look back at things that the pandemic helped, had they not had the pandemic, Harbaugh would not be there. Them foregoing that game against us when they would have lost by literally pick a number. They were not fielding a competitive outfit at that time. Harbaugh had to take a pay cut. Think about that for a second. Go back in history and tell me, a coach that good who's ever taken a pay cut and why they would do that. You tell me a coach who was on signing day. I think he was in Minnesota at one point. So it's going to be an incredible, and then you talk about the salacious aspects of it. God knows what was going on there behind the scenes. Like, that's an NC-17 documentary, the kind we all like.
Yeah.
And keep this in mind. And here's another thing I want to say. Let's last on this. This is going to get way, way uglier, because once you actually take something and turn it upside down, and by the way, we all have that text thread, or most of us do, with your buddies from college or something that you don't want to get out. These texts are going to get out. And by the way, my guy didn't have very stringent texting rules in terms of like halftime activity. He was slightly distracted apparently from a second half game plan against Ohio State because he was setting up post-game activities. Look, post-game activities are important. You got to win the game. Okay, you play to win the game. Got to go Herm Edwards on that one a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on quickly and talk about Penn State. Your thoughts, I'll just give you mine. And I said this to someone the other day. Pete Carroll, back in the day, was USC's 7th choice. If he wasn't the 8th choice, he was the right choice. I think that Matt Campbell, circuitous route, they ended up with probably the right guy. Your thoughts on Penn State as we get off of the other dumpster fire? I'm not saying Penn State's an actual raging fire. It's smoldering.
Yeah. I think that it's, again, the way that they got rid of James Franklin, it made you think like, oh, we've got some great hole card in our pocket that we're going to play, and we're going to get the best coach available in college football, maybe even not available, just the best coach. And what was weird was jobs were coming open and they were getting filled in 24-hour cycles. And here was Penn State 2 months after they had fired James Franklin, and there didn't appear to be any movement. Nobody was even being mentioned. It started with Matt Rule way back when, and, whatever, say what you want, that was he really a candidate or not, but, there's a lot of smoke there. But Matt Campbell, he wanted Iowa State, where very few people have been able to win over the decades, and he got kids to go and play in Ames, Iowa, and now it'll be going to play in a remote locale, a State College, Pennsylvania, and they've got the backing of great alumni. I assume they're going to have plenty of NIL money to spend. And so I think that, again, you've got to mine the best players in the Mid-Atlantic, Ohio, and the Northeast. I mean, you've got 3 very fertile recruiting stomping grounds that you can rely on for players. And that's what I think
DC,
Campbell will
New Jersey, Pennsylvania, they have owned those spots in the past.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. And then dip down into Maryland and Virginia,
Yep.
Come and get a few from Ohio that maybe aren't, on Ohio State's top radar, and, call it a day. I mean, I think that even New England, we've seen with Connecticut, Massachusetts are producing at least a few. I'm not saying they're fertile areas, but upstate New York and different places that are just ready-made for them to cherry pick the best players out of if and when they get those opportunities. So I think Penn State, it may take a year or two for Campbell to get his feet on the ground and solidify things, but I think that they're going to be okay, better sooner rather than later. They'll be back in the playoff. I don't know if it'll be next year, but maybe the year after. But I look for him to do good things there.
Ironically, I think you're going to see a lot of head-to-head recruiting between Penn State and Virginia Tech. I cut my teeth in that area. Virginia Tech has to control the state of Virginia and has to control Hampton Roads for them to be effective. If you look back when if you guys remember, Virginia Tech used to be kind of now they never beat it. They were like Kansas State East, we used to call them, because they could never beat anybody in the top 7. They block every punt you'd ever see. And then, they were kind of, but they did have, they had Michael Vick there. They had some other high-level players, but I think Franklin, that was such a good hire for them because, like you said, he's going into places he's already been. He's got relationships all the way up and down that spot, and I imagine he's got the juice on Penn State. Although
I think he's a good football coach. He was butting, the glass ceiling. He was banging into Michigan and Ohio State, and it just they just were never going to overcome them. And try as they might, they just were. He could have been there 10 more years and maybe beaten Ohio State once in 10 years. It just wasn't going to happen. So, yes, Michigan has had success recently, but if I watched a lot of the fallout from that, and I even think I heard one guy say they finally lost officially to Ohio State. Like they finally realized they couldn't do it and he couldn't beat them and he had to move on. And by the way, it probably didn't help as he was doing that Ohio State was doing quite well this year. Everyone picked Penn State based on the idea that this is what I don't understand. Everyone picked Penn State because Michigan brought back a lot of dudes and won. Ohio State brought back a lot of dudes and won. Here's the difference. Michigan brought back guys who were going to get drafted really high. We brought back a cadre of NFL players. The two best NFL players on Penn State were Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter, and they left. Yeah.
Okay. That's who we were afraid of. Go back and look at the game. Who attacked Donovan Jackson? Who did we barely hold off? And for some reason, they didn't give the ball around the goal line. Thank you very much, James Franklin.
Thank you.
That decision right there may have the last decision in his tenure that mattered, because since then it was like, when it comes to us, I'm not even kidding about that. I don't know if we could have, we have shown over the last 2 years to be probably the best red zone goal line defense I've ever seen. Still, Tyler Warren has proven, just be thankful they didn't give him the ball in 4 tries.
He got him down there, and then they abandoned him.
They did not give the ball to their best player, who's a converted quarterback, for 4 tries. Thank you very little. So we'll go from there. Last point, or last question. I guess Indiana would be obviously the answer. When you look out at the landscape, and we kind of know the outlook here. I think everyone kind of believes, at least I do, that I don't really have a strong feeling on Texas A&M versus Miami. I will say I don't generally have a lot of faith in Carson Beck. That's just me. I know I'm not alone in that. But I do also think that games that have this much time in between them are goofy. You get the kitchen sink. You get health. I think it's very, very advantageous to get them the next week, beat up a little bit when we're nice and fresh. But I think we all expect Georgia to be out there. I said this last year. I felt better last year when Georgia went down. That's the squad that player for player can trade punches with Ohio State. Your thoughts on the playoff path and how you think everything might go here now from where you sit?
Yeah, on Texas A&M, as I look at their schedule, you go back over it, their best win, obviously, week 3, they beat Notre Dame 41-40 at Notre Dame. That was pretty impressive. They also won on the road at LSU and at Missouri, 2 other ranked teams, at least the day that they played. And then I think it was inevitable. I think everybody thought Texas was going to beat Texas A&M in the season finale, 1, to make Texas a season, and 2, just because Texas A&M was due and hadn't really played. They didn't play anywhere near the kind of SEC schedule that Georgia, Texas, and Alabama played. So when you look at it, they didn't have to play any of the top teams really until they, Texas was predicted at the top, but that's their rival. So they had to play them. So is Texas A&M, are they battle tested? Miami comes through the ACC with 2 losses, They also beat Notre Dame. So that game, to me is like you said, it's a toss-up. I like that it's Texas A&M at Kyle Field, very difficult place for opposing
Good
teams.
point.
But if I'm looking across the entire landscape, I think you got to consider Georgia, as the
Always.
3 seed in that 2-3 game. The champion could come out of that game. And again, you've got Texas Tech, who has played just outstanding football. But again, are they on the same level as the
Right.
SEC and the Big Ten teams? I'm trying not to be that person who discriminates against ACC and Big 12 teams just because they're not in the Power 2 and, quote, don't have the same salary cap and don't make as much money and aren't on national TV as much. And
Texas Tech is making a run
don't
at the salary cap.
Yeah. Texas Tech's got the money. So, it'll be a lot of fun to watch them play
No doubt.
in this playoff. But man, if it's Oregon versus Texas Tech, I mean, what kind of a game is that going to be? That should be one heck of a game. So, look, let's get into it. This weekend is going to be fabulous. Alabama-Oklahoma rematch on
That's
Friday
a great
night.
game, man.
Yeah,
that is a classic. Alabama-Oklahoma. If you don't want to watch that game, you are not a college football fan. I don't care who's playing. Anytime, anywhere, that is for me, that's like, was it 1976, man?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's an awesome matchup.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun Friday night. And then obviously the game
Friday
Ohio
night.
State
That's
fans
amazing.
will be watching Saturday noon. And then laid off the later games onto TNT, quote unquote, against NFL competition in those 2 windows. So ESPN's like, you can have those too.
Hard pass. Yeah. So we got a lot to look forward to. I'll say this. I'll just leave you with this. I still believe Ohio State's best effort is the best. Keep in mind the last 2 losses, while painful, followed a relatively similar script. When they cut it loose and they're healthy, to me, they're the best team out there. And I've only felt like that last year and this year. There were years before I thought they could win, but there was always like a Joey B hanging out there or a Clemson with Trevor Lawrence. I think now Ohio State's best will be enough to get it done. Let's just make sure we get our best out of it. Definitely appreciate Steve filling in for Dave Biddle. No easy task. Appreciate it. Have a good one.